Lighting is the biggest bang for buck upgrade you can make to any studio. But if you're anything like me, you'd almost do anything to avoid spending that money. Luckily, there are loads of cheap ways to get really good lighting, like building one yourself. And in this video, that is exactly what we're gonna do. So let's go. So the first thing you need is a baking tin. Now you can go for a flat one or you can go for a cone one like I did here. I prefer the cone one just because it fits a little bit better in my office. I went for a small one because I wanted to be nicely tucked away in the corner to not take away too much space because I have a fairly small office. Now I went for an aluminium one purely because I couldn't find a stainless steel one in the shape and size that I wanted. The next thing you want is a camera ball head. Now I had this already from previous stuff that I bought, but you can get them for very cheap. You can actually get this exact same one I've got on Amazon for really cheap. There are also many other ways you can mount this, but this is the way I went with because it just gives me a little bit more freedom and flexibility. And the next thing is probably the most important, to be honest, because without LEDs there won't be any light. So I just went for a 5-meter long LED strip. This one is actually dimmable, which is why I went for this one. You need to make sure that you look for an LED strip that has got a high CRI rating. The higher, the more natural the light, so your skin tones and color will be more natural. And then last but not least of the bigger components that we need is a simple silk bed sheet to use as diffusion. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to actually line the LED strip inside the cake tin. Do not worry about being too accurate or having straight lines. The more gaps you have, actually the better the light reflects within the tin itself, which will help the strength of the light overall. The next thing we want to do is drill 2 small holes into the tin itself. Be careful not to actually hit the LED strip. The one is for the power cable to run through, and the second is to mount the ball head onto the cake tin. Obviously, depending on what you use, you might just want hot glue or super glue. It depends on how you actually plan on mounting this. But if you're doing it the same way I am, then I would definitely advise actually drilling a hole in the cake tin itself. We will start with a small drill to make pilot holes and then progressively get bigger and bigger until we get to the point where the holes are the right size. I would definitely advise just testing the lights as you go along, just making sure that your lights are all still working. You don't want to be putting everything together and then find out at the end that somewhere along the line you made a mistake or broke something. Before we actually secure the power cable to the cake tin itself, I would definitely advise at least drawing the circles for the diffusion first. This just allows the cable to be put inside and then it's out of the way so you're not struggling moving stuff around all the time. I probably should have removed the ball head before doing this, but it works fine. You can also do this right at the start. Just start out by placing the tin down and drawing out your circle. Next, you want to start cutting out these circles. You don't necessarily have to stick to the lines perfectly. Just make sure you're actually outside of the line so that the diffusion sheet is not too small for the light. I actually cut out 2 but ended up only using 1. You can use 2 if you really want to, depending on how bright your tin is. Mine isn't that bright, so I just stuck with 1 as it works really well. Once this is done, you want to secure the power cable through the hole in some way. I put some electrical tape down and then taped it down with electrical tape as well, but you could use just hot glue or whatever you have available to use. And finally, you want to attach the diffusion to the lamp in some way. The easiest way is probably to use an elastic band that fits around the tin. I didn't have one, so I just used tape. So this is the light that you are actually seeing, as you would have seen in the first bit of the video. I'm about arm's distance, a little bit further away than arm distance from the camera. The light is maybe, I don't know, 2-3 inches further than that. It's actually at about, I don't know, maybe 20% strength. And currently it's on the verge of getting overexposed. So if we up it like that, you can see it can get very bright. And it's a very good light, very small and compact, as you would have seen. I did spray paint mine to be black just to make it a little bit prettier for the thumbnail pretty much. And I'm very happy.